So, gut feeling, is this the last game for the Phoenix Coyotes?
You know, it's not really a fair question, and the speculation that we've been holding some announcement waiting for them to stop playing is absolutely wrong. We are still focused on trying to make it work in Phoenix, and I hope we're successful. That's what we've been working on. Obviously, when the Goldwater Institute killed the deal, it was a huge setback. Nobody expected them to do that. We didn't think it was right that they did it, but the focus is still on making it work.
So,
do we have an infinite amount of time? The answer is obviously not, but we haven't been holding an announcement waiting to see when the Coyotes are done playing. I assure you of that.
But when you don't have enough time, you also have to cover yourself, and you guys have done that. You have done that. Can you confirm for us that you have been negotiating with the Chipman Group in Winnipeg?
No, I'm not going to either confirm or deny that. I think it would be fair to say that I don't have a deal for the club to go anywhere else right now. If I had to get to a deal at some point, my guess is I could probably arrange it. You would be terribly disappointed at us and the way this league runs if you think we would just back ourselves into a corner and not have
a plan B.
Some options out there. But Plan B has not been effectuated.
Gary, we've got a public forum coming up, which people have been trying to get to. What really does that mean, Goldwater and the city having a public forum? Does it really mean anything? And the other thing that concerns me here is Holzhauser. God bless him. He's been involved and he's gone through ropes here, but he hasn't even been to a playoff game. It's being reported. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. If I'm buying a team, I'm around.
Well, but I think part of the problem
part
of the problem is there's been a lot of media hysteria over this. I think he didn't want to be a distraction. Okay. Interestingly enough, the day of Game 1, there were all these reports that, there's a deal, there's an announcement. None of the reports were true, and I think he's probably been respectful and judicious in terms of how he's been approaching this, because none of us want there to be a distraction. We want the players to have every opportunity to focus on what takes place on the ice, and we really want the fans to be able to enjoy the experience. So I wouldn't read too much into it. The fact is he may have other things going on. People may have wondered why I wasn't at games the last 3 or 4 days, although I was at a game on Sunday. Sometimes you get caught up doing other things and you don't have the luxury of getting to a game, particularly if it's one you have to travel for.
What really is there a timeline? Is there a deadline, or is it weeks? Is it months? I mean, how long can this go on? It's been 2 years.
The fact that it's been 2 years is irrelevant. The first year we were there with the club coming out of bankruptcy, and
right.
This year we stayed put because the city of Glendale asked us to and was prepared to finance any losses this year. So all this speculation that it's been a long time and we've spent lots and lots of money, it's not true.
But at the
but let me finish.
Yeah.
So the question is, obviously, at the point we issue a schedule for next season, we're going to have to know where the team is playing. So, you can back it up from there at some point, because we don't do the schedule in 24 hours, but we have some flexibility. And frankly, I don't think setting a deadline right now would serve any useful or constructive purpose. And quite frankly, I'm not operating under a deadline right now.
Hey, Gary, Goldwater Institute says that you guys, along with Holzhauser, are trying to pull an illegal deal, that you're taking public money and putting it into the private sector. My question to you is that, did you guys...
Can I address what...
Yeah, okay, first of all, your response to that.
Well, first of all, what they're saying is that they believe it violates the gift clause. And it doesn't mean you can't give money to the private sector. The gift clause is in Arizona law. It means that you just can't give money that doesn't have a commensurate value or benefit coming back. And it's well chronicled that Arizona and many of the municipalities have given money to the U.S. Airways Arena where the Phoenix Suns play, Chase Stadium, I think it's called, where the Diamondbacks play, to countless number of spring training camps for baseball teams. In fact, and what I'm reciting to you is what Senator John McCain told me as recently as the last 48 hours. There's even been an energy company that was deciding whether or not to relocate or locate in Texas versus Arizona, and they're some municipality gave them lots of incentives. What this comes down to is the Goldwater Institute, which is a watchdog private entity, has decided that they don't like the deal the city of Glendale has made. They're not accountable to anyone but their contributors, and they don't like that deal, and they want to substitute their judgment for the city council of Glendale. And what's interesting about it is all they've done is threaten. And it is the threat that there may be a lawsuit that made the bonds unsaleable, because if you're in the business of buying bonds and there are thousands of different bonds you can buy from hundreds of different municipalities, you'd say to yourself, well, if my job depends on me investing correctly, why would I buy a bond where there may be a lawsuit and the bond may be threatened? And it is that threat which they haven't proved on that they're right, and if the deal collapses, they may never have to prove on they were right unless somebody sues them for some sort of interference notion. But that's what caused the deal to go sideways. And what the city of Glendale has been doing with our help and with Matt Holsizer is trying to figure out another way to do this where it doesn't involve having to sell the bonds in a way that the Goldwater Institute can interfere.
Do you think that you can find another way here, or you're going to run out of time?
Well, I mean, it's more a question of logistics than time, and that's something that everybody has been working on, and that's why the focus continues to be on making this work in Phoenix. You know, again, I guess it's because the Coyotes are playing. This seemed to be the story du jour when, you know, there's exciting hockey being played. We got great series. We got 5 games tonight. We had an incredible come-from-behind victory last night. You know, that to me is more relevant. Whether or not we have a deadline or the Coyotes are staying or going, that's pure speculation by anyone right now.
But it's more than speculation,
including me,
Gary. But it's a little bit more speculation. You know, you can't blame us for talking about the fact that you've been negotiating with Winnipeg to bring hockey, if in case you need to go to Plan B. That's a pretty big story 2 days before the playoffs are about to start.
You're assuming I've been doing that.
Yes.
And I haven't.
We know you've been doing that.
Tonight. You don't know anything. The person that
but you won't deny it.
You can guess. You may say you have sources, but you don't know.
But you won't deny it either.
I'm not going to confirm it either, because I've never gotten into discussions about what we're doing. Quite frankly, and I've been consistent on this, when I have something definitive to announce, I'll announce it. And part of this is I don't want anybody's expectations getting raised. It's not really fair, and I don't want people's expectations to be deflated in one place and raised in another when it may be completely wrong in both places. By the way, I don't blame you for covering the story, but guys, enough is enough already. Yeah. This isn't the biggest thing going on.
Oh, no, in Canada it's pretty big, Gary. Gary, it's pretty darn big story in Canada, potentially bringing a seventh team to Canada.
It's a big story if the team ultimately moves. The fact that people are speculating that it might move and the amount of attention that speculation got, I understand that it's a story, but it isn't as big as people are trying to make it. And again, it's not fair to the people of Winnipeg, and it's not fair to the people in Arizona.